The game was Middle-earth Quest, a game where there's heroes and one supreme villain that the heroes are going against. The heroes, however, also were slightly competitive in this case because they all desperately wanted to continue and move on in the Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament. They were being scored, and their score would determine their starting position in the next game. Two such heroes were Mooney and Red Tomato. They sort of developed a friendship during the game. They began to help each other and assist each other despite the score, and I think they, as much as two cards could, became friends. Now Mooney, he had a character named Aqualad, and he's in the Navy. As such, he had the very special benefit of being able to gain a point if he were able to get a boat. He did get the boat at Red Tomato's, with Red Tomato's assistance. That point is the point that allowed him to tie the game with Red Tomato. The two tied for last place with 1 point. What does this mean? The next game they're going to be playing is this conglomeration of Return of the Heroes, held in Der Unterwelt and Under the Shadow of the Dragon. The people with the lowest score are going to start pretty much bare in the underworld and have a somewhat disadvantageous starting position. Okay, the people who are in the middle get to be in the upper world. So these two are tied for last place in their relevant bracket, and so they must play a game against each other, friend against friend, a duel of ages to see who will be damned and who will get to feel the sun on their face. For those of you who don't know, Duel of Ages has a lot of expansions and a lot of little things you can add onto it from game to game to make the play different, along with all the different characters that you add on and blah 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 blah. I'm going to be doing something different in my experience of the game this time. I was sent this web set by a bass fisherman, and I'm going to try it out in this game. I've never done it before, but I'll tell you a little bit about what I know of it. One, I'm going to have to cut these things out. They're not going to fit well, I don't think. I'm very bad with scissors. So if you look at this, though, you can see that there's a, I guess, what do they call it? An adventure key for each of the 4 different ages in the game, right? I'm going to require that Mooney and Red Tomato pick these. They're going to be required along with the basic labyrinths and team bases, and I think 6 numbered keys. Those will all be required. These are going to be required too. Unlike the other adventure keys, they're not such an all or nothing proposition. You get little bonuses for each of these that you succeed in. For example, so teams are going to get these little cards. So for example, if you are in Payne High School and you defeat the Tufts challenge here, I can look at this thing, you'll get this little Tufts card, and it says non-honorable allies draw 1 card at the end of melee each time they cause at least 1 damage with a melee attack. So it's kind of a, it won't always be useful, but it's definite advantage that they get if they have their marker there. The markers here can shift and be taken off and added, and you know, just like any other adventure key, whoever has the most markers in a particular one of these at the end of the game is going to get a point. Alright, so this is going to be required. I don't know if the other expansion keys will find their way in, since this is going to be a lot of adventures. We're going to have 8 different adventure keys required, and I don't think I'm going to go with too large of a map, so this might be all we're doing. But I'm going to have to cut this out, and I will be as careful as possible. I don't know if I even printed it at the right size. It looks a little too big to me. Alright, here we have our contestants, and we are going to do our character draw. I decided on, I think, a 7-character, 3-platter game. And I haven't decided how I'm going to end the game. I usually, when I play by myself, I just kind of go until it feels like the game should be done, but maybe I should have some sort of mechanism. So let's deal them out. Thodus, wow. I've never played with this guy, this floating brain, and I've wanted to. Yes, he has mind control, and that should be exciting to play with. Then we have Boulin, and I can't remember if he's come up before or not. I feel like maybe he was once, but he was in prison the whole time. The Iron Pole, I've played with him before. He's fun. Milena Arebato, she is a classic. I've played many games with Milena Arebato, most recently against Rocking Horse Dreams. I can't remember whose side she was on. I think she was on his side. There's Thump the Giant. I've played with him before. Minx and Jinx, they come up a lot for me. For some reason, I don't know why. Rizzik the Red, I've been looking forward to him as well. Are you getting all of this? No. Alright, Rizzik the Red is up there. And then, this one's fun. Okay, she has 2 henchmen, and I should probably look to see if Thodus has henchmen. Probably not, but he can get henchmen. Okay, so I'll draw her henchmen right now. Well, maybe I'm supposed to do that later. I'll do it later just to make sure I'm not breaking rules. Ghana the Mimic. At the beginning of any melee phase, Ghana may become one of the enemy living characters in her space. Wow, I'm drawing a lot of fun and interesting characters. I mean, most of them are, but there's also a lot of characters that are less interesting. Like, they can just be good with a certain gun. Or, like this guy, he's good in swamplands. He's the master of swamplands. His name is Dingo Jake. Alright. Kid, he's fun. He has a special hideout somewhere. I played with him before. Sergeant Grit, he comes up a lot. He was also in my game with Rocking Horse Dreams, because he's from the first set, so it's more likely that you're going to play with those guys more. Then we have Ryan, the investigator. He's kind of like the X-Files guy, I think. Or maybe, I don't know. And then Jerry Gillis, the survivor. Now, survivalist, I'm sorry. So I'm seeing a lot of modern characters over here. That is, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 7. It didn't say, so I assume I draw the henchman now. And we have Boudica, and he is the Hand of Vengeance. Ooh. Yeah. Alright, and then also Nerve Puppet. A bit about secret information before we proceed. As you can see, the characters have picked their starting platter. Right? But you can also see that these cards here, these item cards, are turned face down. Now, the platter and the characters are all revealed to us right now, but they are not revealed to each other. So Red Tomato knows what he has, Mooney knows what he has, but Red Tomato doesn't know what Mooney has at this point in the game. He does, however, know what these cards are. I'm keeping them turned down, though, because throughout the game, certain ones will be turned up, and that matters. So, right now, they're all turned down. If you really want to know what they are, I can show them to you, but you can't ask me right now because I'm busy. Alright, we've had our first plays. Mooney, who's Team White, placed his Catacombs, which was his starting platter, along with his Team White base. Red Tomato, he played South Pacific, and you know, I hadn't looked at his card when I chose South Pacific. I chose it mainly because of Dingo Jake's swamp abilities, and for the preponderance of modern characters, I figured he would go with that. But turns out Red Tomato spent 6.5 months on a South Pacific expedition, so it seems fitting. He also plays the Mercenary Camp. Primarily because Jerry Gillis has all these cards here, you get these cards to the mercenaries and you get some more henchmen, which would clearly would increase his numbers advantage quite a bit. A kind of a sad rule I'm going to have to place on these two. These are too big. I cut them out. I did, you know, it's not the best cutout job, but it's going to work. The sad thing about that is one of the cool things about this adventuring key versus other ones. So you can see this white team base and the mercenary camp. They only have 1 entrance. These have 3 entrances. However, since they're big, I'm going to have to limit them to being on the outside. They have to be placed on the outside. So we're not going to be able to appreciate that that difference in these adventuring keys. I'm so sorry. We want another round of placement. We have all the platters placed. Mooney played this one along with Dome Key right over there. Red Tomato put the Modern Labyrinth here, so he's got these two modern areas both kind of linked by this key, which is full of numbers. And then I liked this placement here, and I think both of our players liked it as well. They're both adventurous. They both have adventurous as one of their 3 words that describe them. What we're going to have here, if we get another Dome Key there, and I'm not sure if Mooney's going to do that. If he doesn't, Red Tomato definitely would on his turn. There's going to be these 2 little like narrow ways into this box canyon, and there's this kind of this narrowing here. So what if there's anything worth going to here? It might be kind of a fun little area. Lot to happen. All right, one last update before we finish up the map here. Mooney was able to place the black base in this fairly open area. And then Red Tomato, he placed the remaining 2 keys that are dome keys that are able to be placed up here, forcing the rest down here to be adventure keys. The reason why is because these have to be placed. There's 3 spaces left. They have to be placed in these 3 spaces. It's now Mooney's turn. He's not going to think too much about it. He'll probably put the Jock one here. That appeals to him the most. And then... Alright, so let's take a look at our map. We are all set up and ready to play. I even got all the little character counters out. Had a bit of a scare. I couldn't find the iron pole for a long time. Then I remembered that he was kind of shoved in the top of my case. I don't know what you call these things at one point, and I think he slipped down into one. And then as soon as I realized that, I found him in the C compartment. I have it alphabetized. It is difficult to find the characters if they're all in a mass. Not that I've tried that. I thankfully didn't. All right, so let's take a look at the map and just kind of talk about things a little bit. A lot of keys right here, right around in this area. And you know, when I was setting up, I was kind of looking at this. This was Red Tomato's platter, and he was trying to make it for the best for him. He picked it because the swamp, so he has Dingo Jake here. He lined it up and placed it first because there happen to be swamps at this catacombs here, so this could all be this kind of Dingo Jakey territory if he survives. The only other game I played with Dingo Jake, he didn't do so great even though he had swamps. I think there was the metal guy. One of the metal guys just destroyed him pretty easily. But anyway, he's got the Modern Labyrinth, which he might excel in, and then he picked this Galactic Council because it takes cards to activate some things, and these abilities are pretty good if I recall. Budget, if he can get this budget right off the bat, any of his characters that don't have a card get 2 cards, I believe. I would have to double check that. And then the Mercenary Camp also takes cards, and you know, he's got an obvious card advantage. Jerry Gillis might just be giving his cards up and then be fairly useless for the rest of the game. As you can see, he doesn't have very good stats. But when he draws cards, he gets double cards. So maybe he can keep getting more cards. Ooh, actually, that might be a good combo with the budget thing. So if he can get rid of all his cards, either through Mercenary Camp or whatever, he can't trade them to people. He can get another 2 cards. And then he'd get 4 cards, so that's great. So looking at the rest of it, the black team base is pretty exposed. There's these 2 choke points here, and a lot down here to go for. So these are probably going to be points of control. Also Lithopolis, I mean, it's a mess up there. It'll be hard to get a good ranged advantage in this area unless you maybe can cover this side. So they might be thinking about that. Looking at Mooney's platter, it's kind of ended up being fairly similar. Less dome keys, more, well, yeah, less dome keys. Partially because this Modern Labyrinth end here is just kind of a dead end. But let's get to our first reinforcements. We've had our first turn reinforcements. A couple things I forgot to mention. One of them had to do with the reinforcements. Anyone who's familiar with Solon's articles, strategic articles on Duel of Ages, knows that the Colonial Labyrinth is the key to the game, in his view, and I think his view makes good sense. One reason why is because you'll get in a lot of situations in this game where a character will be pinned down and will have will be stuck, basically. And the main way to get them unstuck is this tower of maneuver right here, which exists in the Colonial Labyrinth. So it's kind of a key point. I debated whether or not these players had read his articles, and I ultimately decided no. So it was not something. It was not one of the first things that people put down. Mooney ultimately did put it down because just because he wanted to have these labyrinths up here. All right, so that was one thing I forgot to talk about. Another thing that just came up with the reinforcements is the numbers. There aren't any 6s out there, so any 6 it rolled is automatically a 1, and there's only 3 1s. We don't have a lot of dome keys at all. So Mooney's guys, he put down Thump and Rizek the Red. They both have natural melee attacks, and he liked that. They're also both very slow. He put them right here, got them right in the middle, rolled a 1 and a 5. The 5 being blocked up made another roll of a 5, a 6, which makes it a 1. And that is what Jerry Gillis got, which was quite nice for Red Tomato, because that puts him right near this beautiful 2-card budget there. Red Tomato also placed the Darija, the Countess, Dogrubsky, and she's basically just a character. He's got this Jerry Gillis, who's basically just a vessel for cards. She's a vessel for these two henchfolk, and so she has the henchfolk there. Boudica, which is the Hand of Vengeance, and Nerve Puppet. They're both people that you probably want to stay away from for the most part. It's Red Tomato's second turn of the game, and we're already having our first opportunity fire, our first fighting happening right now. Rizek the Red is going to shoot some flame burst at Jerry Gillis. Jerry Gillis is pretty well protected by the trees, so it's not a super great chance, but it's a free shot. He doesn't have to reveal any cards. He's just going to use one of his magic spells. So we'll see. He needs to get a 5 or better. And that's a 4. That's going to do it. And let's see, the penetration is yellow. Jerry Gillis is going to reveal a card. You guys can see these if you want. He's got so many cards. He's going to reveal this chainmail. That will help. He's actually able to. He doesn't have very good strength or intelligence, but this is the pile of cards that he can use, and this is the one that he can't because of stats. So that's not too bad. So that's going to give him a +2. That puts him up to green, so it's yellow against green. That'll need an 8 or better to penetrate. And that's a 6. That's going to do it. And the damage is yellow 0. So 6 is a success. I think it has to be in a maze to do something. Yeah, it needs to be in a maze. So that chainmail armor with the roll of a 6 really helped, because if it hadn't been there, 6 would have been in a maze, and Jerry Gillis would have been damaged for 1. Let's do a quick scan over the board as we enter into Mooney's third turn of the game. Red Tomato just dismissed in Milena and Dingo Jake up there, up by the modern labyrinth. The Duchess, or Countess, she's going down south with the Nerve Puppet, while Boudica, the Hand of Revenge, is going to the team's vault to pick up some card or other. Mooney's side, he's got Thump going over here. Oh, this marker, by the way, this is the kids' hideout. All right, so it's a building there with a tunnel going into it. When he's in his hideout, he is basically immune from most everything except for certain adventure effects, and other people, he can't do anything to anyone else, but he also heals while he's there, so it's a little safe house for him. Thotis got dismissed in on Mooney's last turn. He's right here, and that actually came into play. Dingo Jake was thinking about dismissing in here, but his wits are blue. Thoduses are white. For those of you who don't know Thodus, he has this mental ability that lets him challenge his wits against other people's wits, and all sorts of bad things can happen to them. On an amaze, which he could quite easily do to Dingo Jake, he would take him over onto his side. So while we're looking at a team here that they definitely seem to have more people, right? Well, they do, and certain advantages. Thodus could take over those people easier, I believe, than the Nerve Puppet could. Nerve Puppet has to engage them in melee. Thodus has a ranged attack, so that's going to give him a little bit more of a field of control. Rizik is at it again. He has teleported over here. It's now Red Tomato's turn. He's moved most of his characters. Jerry Gillis got to go free. Mooney gave it up in favor of kind of blocking these two from the Modern Labyrinth. Red Tomato was all set to move them, but then he thought, you know, they might get a card that's going to help them against Rizik from the move that Jerry Gillis is about to do. Quick note, I looked up budget. It's not the one Jerry Gillis wanted to go for, or rather Red Tomato wanted to go for. He's going for Politics. Politics is the one that gives him bonus cards, and that's great for him. So he's going to skip this turn. He has his 2 cards saved he wants to get rid of. I'll let you know. This one kind of hurts. Sabo Laser is a great weapon. Unfortunately, Jerry Gillis can't use it, and he can't trade it to anyone. Old Jonah is a wonderful donkey. Unfortunately, its main ability, other than just making life great, is that it allows the character to carry extra cards. Jerry Gillis has no card carry limit, so those are the 2 he's going to get rid of next turn unless something horrible happens to him. And that's going to have to be it for today. I have to get going. It's great to play Duel of Ages again. We're ending at the end of turn 3, so I know not a lot's happened yet, but things seem to be moving quickly in this game. These new adventure keys certainly seem to be potent, so this game could happen very fast. I still haven't decided how it's going to end. I might just go with gut feeling, just because you kind of, I always find when I play this game, you can just play until a point where it just kind of feels like it's time for it to be done, and then it's done. But maybe not. Maybe a time limit kind of makes it a little more more pure in a certain way. So I'll think about it. All right.